Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the sixth day of this 1 week faculty development program organized by SGT University Gurugram and Just Agriculture Education Group. So for the sixth day, we have our guest of the day, Dr. Professor VPS Arora, sir. He is former Vice Chancellor of Kumaon University. So Dr. VPS Arora, Professor Emeritus of Economics and International Business. He served at Sharda University, Gautam Budh Nagar, UP recently and earned his bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree with major in agriculture economics and minors in economic theory, mathematics, and statistics from GV Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, which was the first farm university of India. So, Sir served the same university in various capacities for around 33 years, like as assistant professor, associate professor, professor, head of the Department of Agriculture Economics, Dean of Agriculture of Agribusiness Management, and its flagship program of MBA Agribusiness, which was first of its kind under the ICR State Agriculture University system of the country. So, sir has successfully undertook various international consulting projects of IRRI Philippines, OECD France, APO Japan, and FAO Rome. So, Professor Arora has over 46 years of professional experience in academics at reputed national and global institution of higher learning. Dr. Arora joined Kumaon University as its vice chancellor in 2009 and created a number of milestones therein, including creation of directorates of placement and counseling, research and extension, information and communication technology, and quality assurance, and also introduced master system at postgraduate level and brought discipline and transparency in academics, examination, assessment, and administration. He had been Pro-Chancellor and Vice-Chancellor of Shri Venkateshwara University, UP, Pro-Chancellor of Venkateshwara Open University, Itanagar, Mentor and President of Center for Education Growth and Research, Director of Nainital Bank Limited, and Director of Jasmine Mega Structure Private Limited. So Dr. Arora also served as Alamia or Haramia University, Ethiopia, as a visiting professor for a period of 4 years, like from 2000 to 2002 and 2017 to 2019. So Dr. Arora also served various leading private universities like MIT University as Dean Academics and Sharda University as Professor Emeritus, Director IQ AC and Advisor. Professor Arora has honor of addressing UN University Tokyo on agricultural policies in South Asia and OECD members countries on India's agricultural policies at OECD Paris. Sir has successfully conducted 13 research projects and 7 consulting projects, supervised 23 PhD students, authored and edited more than 10 books, 21 book chapters, and over 100 research papers. So, sir was the chief editor of 2 CEGR textbook entitled Higher Education, Leadership and Management and Research Methodology. He served on a number of committees constituted by the government of Uttarakhand, UGC, ICAR, AICTE, CII, and professional societies and other universities. So, sir has been conferred with numerous awards and honors, including Dr. Rajendra Prasad Award for Best Original Book in Hindi, that was during 1994 to 1996, Lifetime Achievement Awards for 2 times, 2019 and in 2020, and Uttarakhand Ratan Award during 2011, and Higher Education Leadership Award during 2016, Outstanding Alumnus Award of Pantnagar University during 2020, Outstanding Alumnus Award of College of Agriculture 2019, and Best Paper Award. So, sir has been the conference president of various societies like of Indian Society of Agriculture Marketing and conference president of Agriculture Economics Research Association. And sir has also been the vice president of professional societies like Indian Society of Agriculture Economics, Indian Society of Agriculture Marketing, and Agriculture Economics and Research Association. So, sir, it's quite evident from your profile that you are such an eminent personality, and we are so happy to have you here on this virtual platform. So, sir, over to you. Kindly enlighten our participants about this program and with your knowledge.
Thank you, Imani, for such a wonderful introduction that you have given, and that has put me under pressure to deliver to the expectations of the audience. So let me first share my, it has been disabled. Sharing has been disabled. Please, enabled.
Yeah, sir, we'll just
Hmm.
do it. So kindly wait for 1 to 2 minutes.
Sure.
So now you can share your screen.
Okay.
Sir,
Hello.
hello, sir. Sir, if you are not able to share your PPT, then We will share it.
Let me try. It's disabled from your side still.
So let me check.
Hmm.
So now you can try to share.
Is it visible now?
No, sir. So now it started sharing.
Started now?
Yeah, sir. Kindly put it on slideshow mode.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Dear audience, sorry for say 5-10 minutes because of technical glitch that we had. At the outset, let me just congratulate the host university and the organizer for identifying such a important issue for this particular faculty development program. And in the present day, when we started this NEP and National Education Policy 2020, the upscaling, uptooling, retooling of faculty has become a must. And further, the topic, that is the research, is very, very important for the teachers or the faculty of any university. No university is expected to grow in today's world, today's scenario, unless it goes extensively for research. To start with, let me quote the Kipling. He used a sentence, I keep 6 honest serving men, and whatever I have learned, that is through them. They taught me all I know. Their names are what, why, when, how, where, and who. And this is all what we have in research. For any academic institution in today's world, today's scenario, the performance measure, the growth parameters, the recognition of institution largely depends on research output. And research output means the research grants earned, patents registered, research publication made, and that too in cited journals having high impact factors, and the presentation made in different research conferences, workshops, and seminars. Same way, the growth of the faculty members, their reputation, their recognition depends largely on their qualitative engagement in research activities. Institutions earned consulting projects, research grants, and other types of collaboration, whether from the government, whether the industry, only through its faculty. Thus, the growth of faculty, growth of the institution largely depends on research. And the research is relevant, is of quality only if it is taken by using the scientific method. That is what we call research methodology. Let me just remind you all what we mean by research. Research is a systematic investigation towards increasing the sum of knowledge. That's one. An endeavor, new or call it, old facts, etc., by the scientific study of a subject or by a course of critical investigation. A systematic means of problem solving. This is very key. We have a problem and we have a systematic investigation for that. Couple of more, few more definitions. Research means finding answers to the questions. So there ought to be tasks, there ought to be questions, there ought to be issues. And research provides us answers to those issues. It is a systematic search for truth. Through research, new and original information ideas about the world we live in are obtained. Research is search for knowledge. Research is defined as a scientific and systematic search for information on a specific topic. This shows what we mean by this. And from these definitions, 5 key characteristics of research emerge. First, it's a systematic, means research follows a process. It's logical. That is, either we use induction method or deduction method. It's empirical. Largely research in today's world, particularly the applied one, is evidence-based. Reductive, that is, we are able to provide for most of the research a generalization. And replicable, that is, using the same methodology, other scientists can also do the same research. Me provides 3 C's for research. Whenever we are involved in research, I always divide this research in 3 C's. First C is conceptualizing research, which answers what, why, and who. Who is a researcher, why it is being done, and what is being done. That is the conceptualizing. Second C, conducting research. What, where, and how. What is being done, where it is being done, that is now the place where we are, whether it is the institution, whether the country, whether the village, that is important. And how it is being done, that is the process, that is conducting research. And finally, the third C, communicating research. That is, whatever has been done, it is to be communicated to the stakeholders. And it answers what, why, and how. What is to be communicated, why it is to be communicated, and how. That is, the 3 C's are important. In my presentation, I'll concentrate only on the third C, that is the communicating. To start with, the first thing that a researcher is to do is to formulate a research proposal. And I have put in the word winning research proposal. Because here the publication, the writing of a research proposal is very, very important. So I start with writing skills, with the writing of a winning research proposal. And what is to be done here? It should start with a clear working title for the project, which is grammatically accurate. It has clarity in the statement. It consists of keywords. The proposal should have a clear statement about what you want to work and on why it is important, interesting, relevant, or realistic. That is, you have to justify. The statement should justify the importance, why it is interesting, why it is relevant, and why it is realistic. So it should provide that what research gaps are we going to fill? How and what value your research is going to add to the subject? Are your research objectives achievable? You may be very ambitious, but it may take the total lifetime to do it. So whether it's achievable within the resources available, within the time available to you. Then the proposal should consist of some background knowledge and context. That's that's some review of literature, what we call the key people who have done it, key research findings that has been obtained so far. So you have to link your proposal with that. The review, the scientists who have worked already on this subject, and what are the findings that have been obtained. Your work should support and contest the work of others. Whether there was a lacunae, whether the shortcomings, what are the strengths, and like that. The proposal should also have the consideration of the methods, what methods or research methodology you are going to use for it, whether it's the technique, whether it's the data, or whether it's the design. Some indication of the time schedule, that is how much time it will take, and what is the sequencing, what are the main stages, and like that. If it is a 2 years or 3 years, month wise, what you will be doing in 1 year or 2 years. And it should also provide the references and bibliography. So starting with this communicating research. Communicating scientific research results is a disseminating of the research outcome. Whatever research you have carried out, it has to be communicated to other researchers, to the society, or to the stakeholder. Suppose an industry has sponsored your project. You have to provide the findings to that industry. Suppose the government has sponsored it, you have to provide to that. So in that case, even if you are doing your own, it should be relevant to the society or other researcher. So you have to disseminate that. This dissemination may be in the form of report, research paper or article, oral presentation or thesis. Suppose it's a postgraduate research work, so it may be thesis or dissertation. Writing is a unique and intellectual challenge. Everybody is not fit in for that, but one can overcome the whatever the lacunae he has. There is no mystery to becoming a good writer. Although everybody is not a good writer, but unless you put in a lot of labor for that, there are no excuses why an intelligent person cannot write well. Good writers write well because they write often and they maintain self-discipline, always open to that. So as a good writing skill, oral presentation is also the major, because oral presentation is becoming very, very important in today's world. So that is also very important, and you have to challenge yourself for that. If it is to be report generation, research report is an essential component of any research study. If report is poorly written, the time and energy spent on research activity would carry no result. Because how it is, I have seen number of research scientists who have put in or who have done wonderfully, but when it comes to their communication, they fail and they are not recognized because of that poor writing skill. So in that case, writing skill is very, very important. It should be understood that the report is written to be read and for an intended audience. You should know for whom you are writing it. Your readers, in first case, when you are writing initially, suppose you are writing a thesis, it is who are the readers? You, your guide, and evaluation committee. These are the only stakeholder. So you have to keep in mind. In second case, your peer or juniors, that is it has more value, because you have to communicate to the other scientists working in that area. Suppose you are working on a management project, so the faculty of management, the scientists working on management, whether the management, marketing or finance or HR. So in that case, the quality should be accordingly. And third and finally, your report should be publishable. That is useful for the community in general. So these you have to keep in mind out here. General outline of technical report, because reports may be of different type, and I divide into two: technical and popular. Though it's not a fixed outline, there may be some changes in that. Even the sponsoring institution may prescribe certain as outline, but the general one is that it should start with the nature of study, methods used in the study, what data information has been used, then the main body, that is results and findings, conclusion, bibliography, appendices, and index. Let me just clarify here the term I've been using, bibliography and inferences. Say references. If you are quoting only the, you are writing the bibliography where only the cited references are included, that's the difference. But if you have consulted number of other books, journal, article, which you have not cited in that, quoted in that, that becomes a bibliography. Appendices and index. And the popular report, that is for the general audience. It should not be that technical. For the common people, you might have seen number of articles in the newspapers or the magazines of the common people. So it should start with the research findings and their implication, and in the language which is not technical. It should start with the recommendations of actions, objective study, then methods employed and results, detailed or little technical, and technical appendices. So it should start so that if you create interest in the people. Now, how do we prepare the report? The report should be written in clear, concise, and well-structured manner. The essential stages of any report writing are: first, you understand the subject, prepare the outline of the report, gather and organize the material, draft, first prepare the draft, zero draft, first draft, second draft, like that. Review and revise the draft, add references to the report, and writing the final report draft. This is the general, say, stages that we have. Basic structure of this research report: title page, table of contents, list of tables and figures, abstract or executive summary of that. Abstract is a one-page document. Executive summary maybe 2-3 pages, and it gives in brief what are the say implementable recommendations which are coming. The body of the report that consists of introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. Then conclusion, which gives the research outcomes, then references or bibliography and appendices. The characteristics of good report: it should be factual and grammatically correct. It should be written in simple, clear, and easily understandable language. I am always critical of those who use the jargons in the technical reports. Jargon should not be used. Say complicated language should not be used. Literary language should not be used. It should be very simple and understandable language. It should be consistent with the objectives and well supported with the graphs and pictorial representation. It should be in the logical sequencing, that too consistent to the goals and objectives. It should have research methodology, which is clear and concise. Report should have result focused. That's the main purpose, and should answer the question why it was started, with the objective it was started. And it should conclude whether objectives have been attained or not. Minimum possible abbreviation should be used in the report. Executive summary or abstract should convey real outcomes, and protocols, questionnaires, etc. should be given in the appendices, and future predictions should come for reporting research findings. The result section includes the findings of the study which are based on the methodology or methodologies applied to gather information. The result section should report findings of the research arranged in a logical sequence without bias or interpretation. Analytical research report, which are written after having gathered important information from primary research sources such as survey or experiment rather than published documents, present original data and are collated. Some research are based on the primary data, some are based on the secondary data. Majority of the people prefer those which are based on primary data rather because secondary data, some people question that. Now, how do we report the findings, which is the body of that? The findings are commonly communicated in terms of text, tables, and graphs. Text, which should be clear and simple in words. Sometimes bulleted text may also be used, but it should be thematic. Literature should be properly cited wherever we have taken from other source the references. The layout should be pleasing to the eyes. Tables are used if there are considerable amount of information that are difficult to be communicated. I have seen, say, some researchers using the tables. Number of, say, respondents said yes and no. Only two, say, answers at that table. This is funny thing. It should not be done. Tables should consist of number of information so that the text job is reduced. It may be chart, graph, figures, etc. Graphs can make the findings easier to understand. That is whether to use bar chart, pie chart, flow chart. It depends on the nature of finding that you have and the nature of audience that you have. Importance of a good result section. If you have that, remember that findings can only confirm or reject the hypothesis. You know the meaning of the hypothesis, a tentative finding that the researcher start with. So in that case, the result section should provide the answer to that, whether it confirms the hypothesis or rejects the hypothesis. The page length of this section is set by amount and types of data. Some people ask the researcher, what should be the size of the research report? It depends on the type of data, how many objectives you have, what data you have collected, and all that. So avoid providing data that is not critical to answering the research. Suppose you have done a lot of research, but your objectives are confined to only 2 or 3. Provide answer to those only and data only to those objectives which you have stipulated. Structure and writing style. For most research reports, formats in the social and behavioral sciences particularly, there are two possible ways of presenting the organization. Present a synopsis of the results, followed by explanation. That is, you have that synopsis of the results, which is followed by discussion. That is, the interpretation is of results is done in the next section. Other is the results and its explanation, they go simultaneously. What we call results and discussion or findings. So these are the two ways. One is that you provide the synopsis of the results and then you have the explanation. Other one is that you have the results and explanation simultaneously. I always prefer the second option, but it depends on the sponsoring organization and depends on the particular researcher. Content. Whenever you are writing the results, it should start with the introductory context. That is what you are going to write in that, what you are going to discuss in particular that. Inclusion of the non-textual element, that figures, chart, photos, maps, etc. That is always desirable. It adds value. It is pleasing to the audience. Systematic description of your results. It should be logical. You should highlight the reader the observation. Again, the page length of your results depend on the type of data and quantum of data. A short paragraph that concludes the result section by synthesizing the key finding. Whenever you say complete the result section, the last one paragraph should give a conclusion or synthesis of what you have discussed. It's desirable to use the past tense when referring to the results. It has been obtained, it is done. So it should not be present tense, it should be that. Important tips. Use text and visual aids properly. You are expected to present the data in words with the help of tables, chart, and graph. So make data clear and easy to understand. The text is primary. The graphics support the text. The appropriate way of reporting finding is using the text, paragraph or more. Note that simple findings usually do not need a visual aid. Nor do you need visual aid for every finding. Visual aids are usually used to make complex findings explained in the text easier to grasp. Another important thing is that you need to report your finding without biased comments or bias should not be reflected. I have seen some researchers, they try to project only the positive sides. Whether it's your personal view should not be reflected. It's only that results that have been there, data is there, you are interpreting that. Suppose the survey shows that an overwhelming percentage of the respondents, that is 83%, feel that publishing cyberbullies is not necessary or disappointing. Now the overwhelming or disappointing, that's the personal views that is their perception. Simply saying survey shows that 83% feel. So you will notice the highlighted words betray the writer's feelings, attitude toward the subject. Use headings and subheadings. So it should not be that you are just writing the novel. The entire thing should be divided, subdivided. Say, for example, you have results. Within results, you have subsection, maybe further subsection. Use headings and subheadings for that. Choose appropriate type of headings. There are two types of headings, talking and topic. Talking that explain itself what we are going to do. Topic where you don't know, say, whether the result will be positive or negative like that. Say, for example, reasons for notes recycling heading. This is the topic one. Reasons may be anything. Then the talking one is inconvenient location of recycling. Now you are referring to the inconvenient location, that is a talking. Inadequate encouragement to recycle. So that's a talking one. Keep your headings parallel, because it should not be haphazard. As I told you earlier, that you should have, it should be pleasing to that. Now, I give you some example here. The headings that you have sections should either be alphanumeric or it should be in decimal. Decimal like 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.2.1, and like that. Alphanumeric, you have A, first, second, A, B, and third, like that. You have like this. So either of these two methods you can use. Now, similarly, I'll give the example of the language of reporting appropriately. I have seen some of the reports or the articles, people write like that. From the survey, 40% of the respondents feel like this. It's not from the survey that the respondent feels. Respondent feels on their own. It's not your survey. So what should be appropriately written? The survey shows that. Survey does not result. Survey shows that 40% respondents feel like this. Similarly, instead of writing from the study, not many people. From the study, the study tells us that not many people like the government policy like this. From interviews with the students, they don't benefit. Now, this again, inappropriate way, rather, from interviews with the students, it can be seen that it was found that they don't benefit from a particular policy or scheme. Similarly, through my dealings with employees, they are concerned mostly with. So, subject following through my dealings with employees should be or not they. Through my dealings with employees, I find that they are concerned mostly with salary package or holidays or the ambience or like that. My dealings with employees show that they are concerned mostly with. That is the appropriate way of writing. Let me just indicate here interpreting information. See, you have the results and you have the interpretation. Reporting data involves more than just presenting it. I give the say elaboration of this. Suppose there is a issue which is being attempted to. If your research objective was to determine how successful the community centers are in attracting young people, you would have to present what you had found out about the response of young people to programs organized by them in the community centers and say what they could mean vis-a-vis your research question. For example, how successful are government efforts in promoting the community centers to young people? Suppose this is the question. Now you are, say, reporting this. A complete reporting could look like a large proportion of the respondents, that is, 74% reported that the programs organized by the community centers don't meet their needs, mainly because the programs are not attractive enough. This is the result of finding. Now, this does not augur well for government efforts to promote the community centers as a focal point for young people. That is interpretation. So you have two parts of the reporting the result. Findings or results plus interpretation. So we have to always keep in mind the difference between the reporting and interpretation. Interpretation attempt to put the information in the correct perspective. Writing research paper. So far, as we are discussing mainly the report, publishing research paper or article, it improves the status or reputation of the author, that is the academicians. It benefits the society. It benefits the country. It benefits the all stakeholders that's there. It adds knowledge to the domain. Researcher needs to find out which journal published article related to. Be careful of plagiarism. Don't submit articles simultaneously to more than one journal. This is the common mistake the young researchers do. It's unethical. There is always a possibility of rejection of your article from one journal. Once your article rejected, it may happen, at particularly in the initial stage. Evaluate the comments and then decide whether to revise, resubmit, or submit elsewhere. It should not be done that the article has been submitted 3, 4 journals. That should not be done. While resubmitting, take care of the issues raised in the review process. Like that. The structure of the paper should be as per the guidelines of the journal. Every journal has its own suggestions. A structure of the research article. You have title. A title should contain fewest possible words. It should not be long enough. And always say the best title is one where no word can be substituted or replaced, like that. Abstract, it should be of one paragraph in article, whereas in the report it should be of one page, but in article it should be of one paragraph. That gives the summary of research work reported in the paper. It may either be informative or descriptive. Introduction, it should give importance of the subject and overview of the research reported. It should also indicate research gaps covered in the paper. Then materials and methods. In some journals, it's written only methodology. This section should answer as to how answers to research gaps have been obtained. Results and discussion. Somewhere it's written findings only. This section may also have subsections and provide the findings of the research work reported along with the interpretation. Then summary and or conclusion. It may be recommendations part also. Should be one para section gives brief summary and recommendation. And finally, references or bibliography that you have, whatever you have cited. And there are different styles of the references, which you can just read. Harvard style, since this, they will be sharing with you that you have the author, how it is written. You have Vancouver style, and then you have American Psychological Association style. This is how I provided you that for books, how it is written, for chapter in edited books, for journal in article. Finally, the third way of presenting your findings or communicating is oral presentation. Oral presentation is created in the same manner as the report. It adds one additional element, that is human element. It contains information that people need, but unlike reports, which are read at the reader's own pace, presentations must account for how much information the audience can absorb in one sitting. It has a logical beginning, middle, and end. A speaker must be cautious not to lose the audience. Always lively, always connected, linked with the audience. Presentation skills includes verbal, non-verbal, and listening. The focus on oral presentation should be in the following areas: audience perception. In that case, your eye contact, your postures, your hands, your pitch, your voice volume, all these are important. That will attract the audience. Audience will build perception based on whether you are standing at one place or you are moving one place to another place, whether you are trying to have a posture which is positive or negative, whether you have eye contact with them and like that. Pitch, that is also that it should be that you should be audible to all the audience. Audience comprehensions, that is understanding the needs of audience. Suppose a politician, his audience is not technical, so you should use that. But if it's a scientist, scientific community, you have to use that communication style. creating impression. That opening is also that's very important that you have. Audience interaction. Always try to give that your visuals, handouts, overcoming objectives, so that. Now let me use some of the findings in this regard. We can effectively recall 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, and 50% of what we hear, and 70% of what we do. That is the thing. If you have only you have read a report, only 20%, you only 30% that. If you somebody has read the article to before you, only 20% you can recollect like that. There are three ways of to express: vocal interest 38%, body language 55%. So that shows how important is the body language, and verbal content is 7%. How to prepare for that? Beginning or introduction? Start with introduction or ice-breaking story. The topic is the relevant story. Suppose you are in the era of that corona. So try to create situation like that, those everybody gets interested in that. Give the fact, give the statement, give the information, and like that. Greet audience. Give title and introduce oneself. Give purpose of your presentation. Announce your outline. Make that is the beginning that you have. But it should be done that it's not that you are introducing yourself as well as somebody else has introduced you. No, it should not be done. If somebody has introduced, don't introduce yourself. Further, don't take much time on that. Topic should remain for, say, to capture the attention of that. Then once you have introduced, it may be some ice-breaking story or statement or like that. Or it may be some cartoon, it may be some picture that you have shown. Then middle or the body of that. In that case, you have to go almost similarly as you have the written report, research objectives, methods, hypothesis, result, discussion, like that. But it should be done in a more lucid and eye-pleasing manner. Content, relevant and technically correct. Quantity, not too elaborate, not too concise. Sequencing, to make audience better understand. Keep audience attention by cracking jokes in between. Signal posting or signaling, and or conclusion, and the presentation is very important so that you leave some impact on your audience and the listeners. Important tips for preparation: no overcrowding of the slides. Keep 6 to 10 lines that. Use simple language, short and uncomplicated sentences. Check grammar, spelling, and punctuation thoroughly. Sometimes it happens that you have a very good content, but your punctuation, your grammar or spelling make mess of it. Choose proper font size and font color. Always remember that red and green are the colors most commonly used, should be used rather. Try to include more graphics to enhance understanding. You can use visual aids. Start the presentation with a slide that contains the title, name of the presenter, name of the guide, if any, and affiliation to which organization you are associated. Graphic images can be helpful in introduction. Flow charts, graphs, bar chart, pie chart, scatter chart, etc. can be useful. Label all the axes clearly with good legend in place. Titles and subtitles should be self-explanatory. Photos and other images improve effectiveness. Choose images that are good in color and contrast. 2 or 3 colors in a single display are fine. More than 3 colors are excessive. Important points while making the presentation. Presenters should prepare well in advance about technical aspect, how the size and level of target audience. It should be consistent with that and whether the facility is available. Presenters' dressing style, body language, facial expression, and confidence level help draw attention of the audience. Keep tight slide for longer period. Avoid being at one place, rather keep moving on the stage or among the audience to keep them attentive. Don't read the slide word by word. Rather give logical explanation. Use laser pointer to highlight. Keep presentation clear, dynamic, and maintain eye contact. Keep watch on your speed. It should not be very fast, it should be very slow. Keep the printout of the presentation with you, which enhances your confidence. Be flexible to incorporate spontaneous changes. Don't apologize. Suppose you have committed mistake, try to correct it. Speak loudly and clearly. Use short and simple sentences. Avoid jargons and abbreviations. Vary pitch, tone, volume, speed, and pauses. Relax, be enthusiastic. Deep breathing in between is very helpful. During presentation, take a moment to yourself by getting a drink of water. Take a deep breath. Concentrate on relaxing the most tense part of the body and then return to the presentation. Know that even the best presenters make mistake. Continue even after that. Now, I don't know how many, say, audience are here who are doing research, say PhD research. Imani or anybody can, whether to is
Yes, sir. Sir, most of the audience has joined through YouTube, but this program is generally for PhD scholars and the faculty. So, as we have the data of registration, so more than 50% of the audience, like around 700 to 800 participants, are of PhD.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
So,
thank you, sir.
so I'll cover very briefly the thesis research because those who are PhD scholars, for them it's relevant, and I'll because it will be on YouTube, they will be benefited by this, and they know what is the thesis research. When you are doing a research with the stipulated objectives, particularly for those to as per the requirement of the institution. So that is a document which gives the findings and how it is prepared, that is mentioned here. So first thing, start with the section of the selection of the topic. It should be reflect feasibility, uniqueness, scope, topicality, and relevance of that, utility, benefits, and theoretical and the practice value. Statement should highlight all the researchable, say, issues. It should also briefly give what has been done so far in this regard. So, points important is starting the problem, say, problem statement that it should outline the context, highlight key current theories, concepts, and ideas, indicate assumptions, issues raised, and how issues to be solved. It should be grammatically correct and as complete as possible. Wording should be important. Avoid meaningless words. No ambiguity. And demarcating, that you have the main problem, then you are the subdividing that. Then you have the literature review. Literature review, that past work that has been done. It is on the concepts, it is on the methodology, it is on the findings, it is on the views. So that according the review of literature should be obtained and synthesized accordingly. That is what classified. So in that case, whenever you are writing that, you have that, first you have the summarize of the contribution, evaluate the current content, and now conclude it. So whenever you are writing that, who is the author or who is the scientist, what is the main objectives with which he started, what are the main findings, and what are the main conclusions. These should be written in the that. Then thesis research should have the objectives. Objectives should not be overlapping. They should not be ambiguous. They should be written in the simple languages. Then you have the hypothesis. Hypothesis also very, and you know that preliminary or tentative explanation. It depends on which type of domain you belong to, and accordingly that. Purpose is that whether you accept it or not, you have to say right that. The hypothesis should be testable. It should be expressed in the clear languages, and it should be logical, simple, specific, and like that. Then, as I mentioned earlier, abstract. Abstract for thesis research should be of 1 page. And in one line, why research thesis is important should indicate that thing. It should be concise, readable, and quantitative. Information in titles should not be repeated. That's very important. What is written in the title, that should not be repeated. It should be explicit. Numbers are used only where it's not the entire findings or results are there. Answer to this question should be found in the abstract. That is the question that I have listed, their answers are there. What did you do? Why did you do? What questions were you trying to answer? How did you do it? What did you learn? And why does it matter? That should be answered. So the research title that there's a layout, and the layout should be what the institution provides. The title, other things. Every institution has the regulation, the guidelines, and it should be accordingly. A tentative layout I have given: title page, declaration, certificate, acknowledgement, abstract, table of content, list of table, list of graphs, figure, list of maps, list of acronyms and abbreviations. So this is how it is being done, like that. You have to put down all the list, and the results are mentioned that. The results and discussion is similar to that. Normally, most of the social sciences, we have results and discussions together. Whereas in the, say physics, chemistry, like that, physical sciences, you have the results and they're followed by the interpretation. That is the results and discussion separate. It depends on the institution that provides. You should avoid having the multiple hypotheses in the results. The bandwagon should be avoided. Avoiding jumping from one objective to another, it should be logical one. The conclusion should include what is the strongest and most important statements. Don't repeat words for word in the abstract introduction. Same word you are using in abstract, same word you are using in introduction, same word in the discussion. That should be avoided. Recommendations should include remedial action to solve the problem. Future research is to fill the gaps of the understanding and directions for future. That should be part of that. What future research can follow. In acknowledgement section, you write about the advisor and anyone who helped you technically, intellectually, financially. That is, you should write. Keep in mind that whenever you are writing acknowledgement, all those who have contributed to that thesis research technically, intellectually, financially, that should be acknowledged. Then references, avoid referencing textbook. Now this is very, very important for this thesis research. If you have read a textbook and that you have reviewed that, Don't put that in reference. Rather, the textbook having some research paper that refer to the original paper, and that should you cite. Often an author will present his or her work in several different places. If the researcher has a choice, always refer a journal article over conference proceedings abstract like that. Be specific when referencing. Don't write researchers say A equals B. That's not the correct way of writing. Or scientists have long argued that A equals B. Instead, write A is hypothesized to equal B. That's the correct way of writing in the references. In one hypothesis, A equals B. This is the right way of writing. Avoid acronyms because some people write too many acronyms. That should be minimized to the extent possible. Use plain English, not jargons. That's you should have that thing. Be quantitative wherever possible rather than being qualitative. So in that case, try to be as quantitative as possible. Suggestions. Don't write the data suggests that. Data does not suggest anything. Our results suggest that. That should be there. These are not the things there. Our measurement is consistent. So in that case, don't write table 1 shows that so and so is larger than this. The diameter of polygon A is 50% larger. That should be the results. Rather than it suggests larger. What do you mean by larger? For some, 4 is larger. Some is even the 20 is not larger. So in that case, and if you are referring to that table 1, that should be table 1 or 2. That should be given the bracket. When referring to the data in a table, that should be in the parenthesis. Give the reader a roadmap. Whenever you are writing a chapter, whenever you are writing any, section, give the roadmap, what it contains. Use passive voice sparingly. Finally, left margin 1.5 inches, though it may again depend on the institution, but still a tentative one. Top, right, and bottom margin 1 inch. Chapter headings and subheads use consistent style and spacing, the Chicago style. Typeface used throughout research paper is consistent. That is paper or the thesis. It should not be that the different typefaces are used. Double space, all text. In thesis, it should be double space like that. Page numbers at least 1 inch from the edge of the paper, and no form of correction fluid is to be used. Appendix, all the less important information, all the long calculations, all the long data, raw data, they should be put in appendices. And bibliography, I already told you that you might have consulted some references, but I have not cited. They are included in the bibliography. That is all for my presentation. If there are some questions, I'll be willing to answer that.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a very informative presentation. आपने सारा ही cover कर लिया, like thesis से लेके research paper, technical reports, scientific reports, everything was included in this. So I think most of the participants have gained most of the knowledge from this session, and I have got calls from the participants like they are enjoying the session and they got the best knowledge about the all of these things. So they're just saying thank you. So I'm just saying thank you to you on their behalf. And yeah, we have questions. So question is that like nowadays it's getting very difficult to publish research papers. ज्यादातर scholars को और faculty को रिसर्च पेपर्स अच्छे जर्नल में पब्लिश करने में काफी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. लाइक अर्ली कैरियर रिसर्चर होते हैं जिनके अभी तक रिसर्च प्रोफाइल इतना बिल्डअप नहीं हुआ होता है, तो देयर पेपर आर नॉट गेटिंग एक्सेप्टेड. So what are the tips, like some important tips other than the PPT you want to give them, because you have so much publication, so they want to have some tips from you, like how they can get their papers published in reputed journals.
Actually, the first thing that you should remember, addressing the researchers or those who intend to publish. First, they identify the say journal which suits the work you have done. Sometimes it happens that uh, we select the wrong journals, and that's why we face the rejection. It depends that initially our quality of the work is relevant to X journal, Y journal, so you should select that, follow the outline of that. Then I'll always advise that initially, when you are writing a paper, include one or two co-authors in that, and particularly your guide or a senior teacher who have already published. They should be second or third author in that. Get their guidance, because once suppose somebody asks me to include me as the ninth or 10th co-author, I'll first go through it. I'll see whether my name is being misused or used. Then I'll correct it, edit it, and suggest that which journal it should be there. So always use the intellect of the people in your department, in your college, in your school. They suggest that this particular article, this particular say topic will suit on this journal only, and they will be happy to edit it, because normally person like me, I will not get my name included. I don't require that anymore. So in that case, I'll be freely providing my services to edit the journal article and suggest which journal it should be published. So first thing is that you should write it in such a manner. See that 5-10 articles in that particular journal, and your article should be accordingly tuned to that particular. Not only the nature of the journal, but nature of the article, but also the language that is being used there. You may have a very wonderful results, but your language is not consistent with the particular journal. That's very, very important. And you have varieties of journals that you have. Select the journal appropriately. And first thing, if they have given you the reasons for the rejection, try to improve it. Maybe you resubmitted it, or maybe that you resubmitted journal. They may say that it does not suit our nature. So in that case, go to the other one. So these are the main tips. And moreover, anybody can contact me on, say, through my email, VP. You have my email ID, you can share with them. So they
Yes,
can
sir, sure.
contact me like that.
Yeah. Sir, another question which we have got is the question is that like आजकल बहुत सारे जर्नल्स हैं जो हाइब्रिड हो रहे हैं, बहुत सारे जर्नल ऐसे हैं जो ओपन एक्सेस हैं, लाइक रेप्यूटेड जर्नल्स, अच्छे अच्छे पब्लिशर्स के जो इंटरनेशनल पब्लिशर्स हैं उनके जर्नल काफी ज्यादा ओपन एक्सेस हैं, और अभी 2022 में सुनने में भी आया था लास्ट ईयर कि मैक्सिमम जर्नल जो है वो ओपन एक्सेस हो रहे हैं या हाइब्रिड हो रहे हैं. सो इज दैट ट्रू, लाइक ऑल द जर्नल्स आर गोइंग टू बी हाइब्रिड और ओपन एक्सेस?
This is what your apprehension is that correct. It's going to be like that, right?
ओके सर, बिकॉज सुनने में आ रहा था बहुत ज्यादा ये कि सारे जर्नल्स ओपन एक्सेस हो रहे हैं, सारे हाइब्रिड हो रहे हैं, एंड एज द चार्जेस आर वेरी हाई, सो द स्कॉलर्स एंड द people who want to publish their papers are quite worried about that, like how is it's going to be.
Actually, there are some good journals where the say processing fee is say not very high. So you have to first find out all those things, and they are respected journals like that. Normally, those substandard journals where they give you the tips that your article will be published, they charge high. But the quality journals is not like that.
Okay,
I have
sir.
not paid so far. I have not paid to any journal a single pie, even for the processing fee they have asked. Not a single pie. So there are journals that we have. So you have to have your domain, and within domain you identify which journal are having respect in the particular area, the reputation. Go by that.
Yes, sir. So another participant has asked a question like she has submitted a paper in the most reputed journal of India, like Current Science, which is a very
Right.
popular journal in India.
Right, right.
Yeah, but she is from agriculture domain, and this journal that publish all the science domain papers, so they rejected by saying that this is not a journal, like paper don't have vast scope. Like, sir, what is the criteria? Do you have any idea about, like, if somebody want to publish their paper in Current Science, but they are from agriculture, so how they can just make it for wide
Actually, let's say,
domain?
because I am from agriculture, so I know it. We have very good journals in our agriculture domain also. But there are some papers which are published from agriculture domain in Current Science also. It should be, should enhance the knowledge. Suppose you are writing in nematology. That nematology is a domain, say one of the subject in agriculture, then in science also. It should be relevant to that particular methodology which is used in chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, and like that. And
Okay.
say it depends. If you are working on algae, that algae you are working should follow the methodology which is used in the science per se. Well, I'm not saying agriculture is also a science.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that agriculture is also science. But what in current science, science means for them the pure science, that is not applied one. So we
Yeah.
have to tune our research according to that particular thing, like that. Otherwise,
Okay, sir.
though the number is less, but even the agriculture scientists, they are publishing in the current sciences. So their number is limited, but they do publish in current science.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We are done with the questions, and thank you for answering all the queries of the participants and satisfying them. And participants are really happy with your PPT. I personally got calls from the participants. So thank you, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful session.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I
Thank
hope
you, sir.
they are benefited. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely, they are benefited, sir.
So I may leave now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, thank you, participants, for joining this training program. As we are done with the today's session, and our next guest is unable to join due to some personal reasons. So, we will join tomorrow with the next session. So, till then, have a good evening.